आशीर्वाद मानता हूं और आपका जो आशीर्वाद है वो मेरे हाथों को ताकत देता रहेगा। इस दौसा की धरती ने, आप सब लोगों ने हमेशा मुझे ताकत और संबल दिया। जब चुनौती का समय आया, जब मैं अपने आप को अकेला महसूस करता था, तो यहाँ के 36 कौम के लोगों ने, इस मिट्टी के लोगों ने मुझे अपना आशीर्वाद देकर इस लायक बनाया कि मेरी आवाज में बुलंदी आ सके। और ये आप लोग सब जानते हो कि मेरी आवाज की बुलंदी में कमी तो नहीं है कोई, और मेरा जो विश्वास और वादा है उस पे ना मैं पहले कभी पीछे हटाऊं ना आगे हटने वाला हूं। राजनीति में साथियों बहुत से लोग आते हैं, कोई प्रधान बनता है, कोई प्रमुख बनता है, कोई सांसद बनता है, विधायक बनता है, सत्ता में, विपक्ष में, मंत्री, मुख्यमंत्री, प्रधानमंत्री, बड़े पद हैं, आए लोग चले गए। लेकिन मैं ऐसा मानता हूं, हम किसी पद पे हो या ना हो, लेकिन जनता हमको तोल कर रखती है हमेशा कि तुम कहते क्या थे, करते क्या थे। मेरे लिए जनता के बीच में हमारी विश्वसनीयता सबसे पहली प्राथमिकता है। जनता का विश्वास, जनता के वादे और जनता की विश्वसनीयता, ये सबसे बड़ी पूंजी है राजनीति में। और पिछले 20-25 सालों में जब से मैं राजनीति में हूं, मैंने ऐसा कोई काम नहीं किया जिससे इस विश्वास में कहीं आपको लगे कि कोई कमी आ गई है। और आने वाले समय में भी आपका विश्वास मेरे लिए सबसे बड़ी पूंजी है। उस विश्वास में मैं कभी कमी नहीं आने दूंगा, मैं आपको वादा करता हूं। साथियों, तमाम साथी यहां पर आए हैं और पायलट साहब को श्रद्धांजलि दे रहे हैं, मैं उन सबका धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। और आप सब लोगों को बताना चाहता हूं, जो राजनीति आज देश प्रदेश में है आपके सामने, हमारी जो केंद्र की सरकार है वो बोलती है कि अगर लोगों को कुछ सहायता मिलती है तो आर्थिक दिवालियापन हो जाएगा। गरीबों की मदद करने से केंद्र के लोग बोलते हैं आर्थिक दिवालिया हो जाएगा। और मैं बोलता हूं कि जिन नौजवानों के साथ अगर कहीं धोखा हुआ है, उनके साथ विश्वासघात हुआ है, उनकी मदद हम करते हैं तो कहते हैं मानसिक दिवालिया हो जाएगा। मैं समझता हूं सच्चे मन से जो गरीब है, जो नौजवान है, उसकी मदद हम करते हैं तो इतना बड़ा दिल होना चाहिए और इतना बड़ा खजाना हमारे पास है कि हम गरीबों के, नौजवानों की मदद करें। मैं साथियों, आप सब जानते हो, सरकार में मुझे काम करने का मौका मिला, मैंने अपनी आवाज को हमेशा रखा। मैं बड़े अदब से, आदर से, सम्मान से और शिष्टाचार से अपनी बातों को रखता हूं और मैंने हमेशा दूसरों को सम्मान दिया है। मैं सरकार में था, हमारे कोटा में सैकड़ों बच्चों की मौत हो गई। मैंने कहा कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। हमारे राज्य में अगर कहीं कुछ कमी है, कुछ गलती है, तो बजाय इसके हम औरों को दोष दें, हमें उसको सही करना चाहिए। और मुझे खुशी बताते हुए आज कोटा में बच्चों के लिए इतना शानदार अस्पताल बन गया कि अब वहां मौतें नहीं होती। मैंने जब ये मांग रखी थी, मैंने अपने लिए नहीं रखी थी, मैंने किसी को नीचा दिखाने के लिए, किसी की बुराई करने के लिए नहीं रखी थी। मुझे लगा कि सैकड़ों बच्चों के, नवजात शिशुओं की मौत हो रही है, इस पर सिर्फ इतना बोल दें कि भाई पहले ज्यादा होती थी अब कम हो रही है, एक भी मौत नहीं होनी चाहिए, उसको सुधारना चाहिए। और आज कोटा में एक शानदार बच्चों का हॉस्पिटल बन गया। अब वहां मौतों का सिलसिला जो था, भयानक क्रम था, वो समाप्त हो गया। इसलिए बात रखना, मैं समझता हूं राजनीति बहुत जरूरी है। और बात रखने में मैं जनता की आवाज को सुनता हूं, अपनी अंतरात्मा को सुनता हूं, और भगवान की असीम कृपा है कि जो मेरी अंतरात्मा बोलती है वही जनता भी बोलती है। इसलिए आज मैं आप सब लोगों का आभार भी प्रकट करना चाहता हूं। आप लोगों ने हमेशा हमारी बात को मान सम्मान दिया है और इस क्षेत्र का नाम पूरे प्रदेश और देश में रोशन है। आज इस स्वर्गीय पायलट साहब की मूर्ति यहां पर लगी, मूर्तियां बहुत लगती, अच्छी बात है, लेकिन जिस व्यक्ति ने अपने जीवन में ये प्रदर्शित कर दिखाया हो कि छोटे गरीब किसान के घर में जन्म लेकर उन ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंच सकते हैं, उन ऊंचाइयों पर पहुंचने के बाद अपना दामन साफ रख सकते हैं, ये मैं समझता हूं एक राजनेता की सबसे बड़ी सफलता है। बड़े से बड़ा विरोधी भी अगर आरोप लगाता है तो उसको झेप आती है। और जैसे मैंने शुरू में कहा, पायलट साहब की राजनीति एक अनोखी राजनीति थी और ये बात सही है, कभी कभी वो भी लटके झटके कर देते थे राजनीति में, लेकिन उनका केंद्र में तो रहता था किसान की मदद, गरीब की मदद, बच्चों की मदद, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र लोगों की मदद, पूर्व सैनिकों की मदद, उनकी मदद हम कैसे करें, और उसी रास्ते पर हम सब चल रहे हैं। आज इस मूर्ति का अनावरण यहां पर हुआ है, मैं समझता हूं आने वाले कई सालों तक ये प्रेरणा का सूत्र रहेगा। मेरे साथ जो लोग राजनीति में काम कर रहे हैं जानते हैं कि मैं सबको साथ लेने की कोशिश करता हूं। जब मैं प्रदेश कांग्रेस कमेटी का अध्यक्ष था, 5 साल मेरे पास कोई, मैं MP MLA नहीं था, लेकिन जनता ने मुझे हाथों हाथ वो हिम्मत और ताकत दी कि हम जो हमारा विरोधी पार्टी, विरोधी दल है जो बहुत ताकतवर था, उसकी भी दांत हमने खट्टे किए। और सुनो, और मैं तो जब हमारी मुख्यमंत्री जी थी उनका मैंने विरोध साल के 365 दिन किया, लेकिन कभी मेरे मुंह से कोई छोटी बात या कोई अपशब्द नहीं निकला उनके बारे में। महिलाएं उम्र में बड़ी हैं, लेकिन आज भी मैं कहता हूं, आपने खान आवंटित कर दी, चोरी पकड़ी गई तो कैंसिल कर दी, लेकिन आवंटन तो की थी ना, उसका तो लेखा जोखा होना पड़ेगा। और मैं तो कहता हूं कि जो जांच और किसी ने इस बात को बहुत बखूबी कहा है कि हर गलती सजा मांगती है, और हम आपस में कोई से संबंध रखें, हम आपस में कुछ भी बात रखें, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा न्याय देने वाला वो नीली छतरी वाला है। आज नहीं तो कल न्याय मिलेगा, किसी को रोक नहीं। इसलिए साथियों, बहनों, भाइयों, 23 साल से हर साल इस शहर में, इस गांव में, दौसा में हम लोग आते हैं, और मैं देख रहा था मेरे पीछे राम प्रताप प्रधान जी बैठे हैं, मीणा साहब, 22 साल पहले अधेड़ उम्र के थे, आज बुजुर्ग हो गए, और जो पहले बच्चे थे 2-5 साल के, आज उनकी शादी का बड़े हो गए। तो समय जो बीता आपके साथ बीता। आप लोगों को देखते देखते हम लोगों ने राजनीति में बहुत कुछ किया, सीखा, समझा, लेकिन आप लोगों का जो पारिवारिक प्रेम है वो सबसे बड़ी पूंजी थी और सबसे बड़ी पूंजी रहेगी। मैं आप लोगों को विश्वास दिलाना चाहता हूं, परिस्थिति कोई भी हो, आप लोगों के लिए न्याय दिलाना, आप लोगों के लिए संघर्ष करना, ये वादा मेरा कल भी था, आज भी है और कल भी है। इसलिए ये प्यार, ये मोहब्बत, ये स्नेह आप लोग बना के रखो। हम आपके थे, आपके रहेंगे। आप लोगों ने जो एकजुटता, जो प्रेम हम सबको दिया, और खासकर आज यहाँ मंच पर जो तमाम हमारे साथी यहाँ पर आए हैं पायलट साहब को याद करने के लिए, मैं आप सबकी तरफ से इनका कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूँ, शुक्रिया करना चाहता हूँ। उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आपका यह प्यार और प्रेम हमेशा बना रहेगा। मेरे साथ जोरदार नारा देना, भारत माता की। वो छत पे खड़े नहीं बोल रहे। भारत माता की, भारत माता की। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। राम राम साहब।
On your screen, Sachin Pilot, who was addressing a mega rally in Dausa. Now, June 11th, which is today, is the birth anniversary of his father, Rajesh Pilot. He's been coming here for the past 23 years. Now, both Rajesh Pilot as well as Sachin Pilot have won from the Dausa constituency. In the year 1984, the late Rajesh Pilot had won the Lok Sabha election from Dausa. He spoke about what he's been doing over the past many years, and Sachin Pilot also said that he will continue his fight against the former Chief Minister of the state, Vasundhara Raje. Sachin Pilot over the past many months has been asking that there should be, from his government's end, there has to be some sort of action against the corruption that Vasundhara Raje did. Sachin Pilot has also taken a dig at Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. He said corruption needs to end, and this has been Sachin Pilot's plank over the past many months. He's been hitting the streets in the state of Rajasthan, asking the Chief Minister of the state, Ashok Gehlot, to take action against those who have been indulging in corrupt practices. He also took a pot shot at the former Chief Minister, Vasundhara Raje, and said she indulged in corruption and now is the right time for his government to take action against the corruption in which was done by the BJP, specifically former Chief Minister of the state, Vasundhara Raje. In fact, May was a very crucial month. May 29th was when both the leaders, Sachin Pilot as well as Ashok Gehlot, were present in the national capital. They had a meeting with senior Congress leaders. All eyes were on Rahul Gandhi, whether he would join the meeting or not. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, did join the meeting. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, K.C. Venugopal were also present. And after the meeting, there was a mini press conference of sorts. A truce took place between Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot. Both the leaders were seen coming out together, and they said that they will fight the upcoming elections in the state of Rajasthan together. The past many years, in fact, has seen a tussle taking place between Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot. Sachin Pilot has now taken a dig once again at Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. He said corruption needs to end. This has been his demand over the past many months. He's been hitting the streets of the state of Rajasthan on the same issue. A few days back, both the leaders were called by the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge to the national capital, and there was a truce that took place between both of them. Sachin Pilot today said that he's been taking on the former Chief Minister of the state, Vasundhara Raje, over the past many years, and he knows that the former Chief Minister indulged in corruption, and now he's seeking some action against all the corruption. My colleague Devankur is now joining me. Dev is standing at the spot where the rally took place. Dev, it seems like, there were a lot of rumors doing rounds. The rumors can now be dispelled. Sachin Pilot very clearly asking people to support him and also saying that he will continue his crusade against corruption.
Well, Aishwarya, given the fact that it was the death anniversary of his father, it was amply clear that Sachin Pilot will not be making any announcement regarding the floating of a party today, given the fact that it's a somber occasion. Pilot was out here, but he, in a very subtle manner, hit out at Ashok Gehlot, not once but twice. Once he said that, mines were allotted. During Vasundhara Raje regime, they were allotted, and he mentioned that despite the fact that those mines were cancelled, but that happened after it was caught that those mines were wrongly allotted, and that every mistake demands punishment. Har galti jo hai wo saza mangti hai. He, categorically said that. Now that line, people who are aware about Rajasthan politics know that it's a line that was used by Ashok Gehlot. So it's Pilot hitting back at Ashok Gehlot in his own words, mentioning that you are saying that the mines were cancelled later on, but what about the allotment of those mines? Who was punished in that matter? Recently, Ashok Gehlot had said that there is no pending issue at the state level of corruption regarding Vasundhara Raje regime. Now that is one of the three issues that Sachin Pilot had raised. So it is amply clear that today on this occasion, even though Sachin Pilot was subtle in his manner and he did not allow any of the ministers to speak from the podium, it was he who was speaking. He mentioned that his father Rajesh Pilot was an outgoing politician. He spoke from his heart. He spoke in a manner that reached out to the people of the state, of the country, and he wants more people, more such politicians to come forward. But he also mentioned that he is not going to leave the focus and the objective of fulfilling the aspirations of the youth of the state. So in this election year, Aishwarya, it is amply clear that Sachin Pilot is not letting go of the three issues that he had raised, despite all the claims of a truce between Ashok Gehlot and him. Aishwarya.
Right, Dev, and it seems like the truce that took place in the national capital, all the top Congress leaders, including Rahul Gandhi, were present in the meeting, and we did see both of them stepping out together, Sachin Pilot as well as Ashok Gehlot. But it seems like for the state of Rajasthan, the coming months will be very, very difficult. It seems like all actually is not well between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot.
Oh, that's what the case seems to be. Sachin Pilot knows for a fact, Aishwarya, that the time in the lead up to the assembly polls in Rajasthan is not much. Hardly about 6 months are left, and he knows. If you heard his speech from the podium, he mentioned that the time to do politics, the time to indulge in political talk was in the past and will be in the future as well. So he did not want to, politics to overshadow the death anniversary of his father. But he made it amply clear, Aishwarya, that he will not let the state government go away that easily. He will keep raising the issues that he claims are regarding the youth of the state, are regarding Bhrashtachar or corruption, and that the issues that were raised were those issues on the basis, on the plank of which the Congress came to power in Rajasthan. So, despite all of these talks that things have been placated and Sachin Pilot is now on good terms, it is quite clear that Sachin Pilot wants to ensure that he has his say, that the party listens to his demands, and some kind of formula is reached out where the people, his core supporter base, do not feel let down and feel that he is not hankering only for power, and that the demands that he has raised are heeded to by the Rajasthan government and the party high command. Aishwarya.
Thank you, Dev, my colleague who was at the rally where Sachin Pilot spoke, now speaking about the fact that there could be turbulent times for the state of Rajasthan in days to come. It is time now for us to close the bulletin. Thank you for watching India Today. You can download the app. You can also log in to indiatoday.in. This is me, Aishwarya Paliwal, signing off.
You are watching India Today.
Since you've called your book Reflections, let me start by asking you a very basic question. I mean, you've had such a long and storied career. Which part of it do you cherish the most on hindsight? I mean, is it the ICICI stint? Is it your stint as a public sector banker? Or is it the numerous philanthropic initiatives that you have immersed yourself in after your banking career?
It's obvious. I can identify myself only with ICICI Bank till my last breath. Of course, the philanthropic initiatives like Pratham and others are very important. But ICICI Bank caps everything. And that's about my life in banking.
But, I rarely speak to a person who has been a chairman of a public sector bank and a chairman of a very large private sector bank. I mean, you're a rare exception in that case. So let me ask you to tell us a little bit about this perennial debate which is on between public sector and private sector banks. And a lot of people believe that a public sector bank can never run as efficiently as a private sector entity. The financial markets value the two very differently. Give us your perspective, if you will, on how you see through your unique lens as having run both these institutions.
My book speaks for itself. In fact, my book is full of anecdotes about what hazards are there in the public sector banking. Way back in 1969, when banks were nationalized, I felt very happy that banks could have plus open branches in the interior of India. But the way in which the state controlled the banks, the state managed the banks, has always made me feel depressed. In fact, my tenure in public sector banking was very small. Then within 6 years, I left the public sector banking. I'm not counting my State Bank of India days where I was not a chairman. State Bank of India, I was working very closely with the chairman at that time. But if I count the chairmanship of the Bank of India, well, I was very happy to be in the bank and very happy to be with the people. But I just did not like the way in which the government tried to control the chairman and to control almost every day you will get a message from there to do this, to do that. That's not the way to manage the bank. And the market is right in valuing the private sector bank more than the public sector bank. It is not so much about the ownership of the public sector banks that matters. It's the way in which the state is managing the public sector banks that really gives a huge discount to the public sector banks.
Global ride-hailing platform Uber has announced plans to go 100% emission-free in the next decade. The company will be switching its fleet to EVs globally. Andrew McDonald, SVP Business Operations and Mobility, was in India and spoke to BTTV's Akanksha Chaturvedi on how the company plans this and how it will cope with the infrastructure challenges in India.
India is a really important market for Uber. It's great to be here today. This was a great event. We're keenly aware of the challenges, and frankly, these are challenges all countries face as they seek to electrify their economies, right? We're launching now in India because we think the ecosystem is ready. We've got great partners that we announced today, including BP Pulse as it relates to charging infrastructure, Everest and Move as it relates to fleets, Tata as it relates to getting vehicles available, EV vehicles available. So, we like to say sustainability is a team sport, and I think the team is ready in India, and that's why we're launching Uber Green today.
Okay. And since India is also a price-sensitive market, do you think this would also impact maybe your market share in a way that since you would want to become 100% emission-free by, say, 2040 or 2030? Of course, it's a very long run, but do you still think, at least in the short term, this might give your competitors an advantage?
Actually, I think it's the contrary. I think this gives us a big advantage. I mean, first thing is consumers want this, right? I think there's a new generation of consumers who want companies who offer green products, and so we're giving consumers what they want. Key thing to remember is we have a tremendous amount of scale in India, right? We've got more than 800,000 active driver partners in 125 cities. We're doing more than 500 million trips a year. This is a business that's going to integrate green products, but we're not flipping a switch overnight to make the entire platform green. The final thing I'll say is operating costs for electric vehicles are coming down quite substantially. So actually, I think this will lower costs for drivers, which will improve their economics, which actually means that consumer prices will come down over time.
welcome to this week's edition of World Today. I'm Geeta Mohan and we begin with the disputed waters of the South China Sea, where the United States of America, Japan and the Philippines are flexing their strategic muscles. In a show of unity, they've staged joint law enforcement drills to reinforce their alliances in the region. But as tensions rise, there's a renewed debate about the composition of the Quad, the strategic alliance between the US, Japan, Australia and India. Some are suggesting that the Philippines might be better suited for this role, while India could focus more on economic engagement. We have an in-depth analysis on the situation. Take a look.
In the face of continued rivalry with China in the Indo-Pacific, the United States, Japan and the Philippines are demonstrating their joint readiness. Earlier in the week, they staged drills in the waters near the disputed South China Sea.
Now, this isn't the first time that we had an exercise with Japan. This is not the first time we had an exercise with the US Coast Guard. However, this is the very first time that we had an exercise with the three countries. So we're very happy and hope that this exercise will increase our relationship with them so that ang Coast Guard po natin will get better, stronger.
The United States deployed the Stratton, one of its most advanced cutters, while Japan brought the Akitsushima, a large Coast Guard ship. As the US and China vie for influence in the region, the Quad, a strategic alliance between the US, Japan and Australia and India, have been a focus of discussion, with analysts suggesting that the Philippines might be a better fit for the Quad than India. It is a defense ally of the US and shows less reluctance to confront China.
The tensions across the Taiwan Straits seem to be continuing to increase. Then the safety of our Filipino nationals in Taiwan becomes of primordial importance. And so that these EDCA sites will also prove to be useful for us should that terrible occurrence come about. And so, again, it's all we have a very defensive posture.
Meanwhile, India seems more comfortable being part of an economic engagement in the Indo-Pacific, demonstrated by Prime Minister Modi's recent visit to Papua New Guinea.
Our shared goals are clear: to deter aggression and to deepen the rules and norms that promote prosperity and prevent conflict. So we're stepping up planning and coordination and training with our friends from the East China Sea to the South China Sea to the Indian Ocean. That includes staunch allies such as Australia, Japan, Republic of Korea, the Philippines, and Thailand. It includes as well such valued partners as India, Indonesia, Vietnam, and clearly our host here today in Singapore.
With the dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region evolving, the roles and alliances of these nations may be subject to change as they navigate the choppy waters of global politics and security. Bureau Report, India Today.
So we are seeing a lot of shift in the South China Sea, in the Indo-Pacific, particularly to do with Philippines that has become a real player in the region. To discuss a little more on this, I'm being joined by Don McLean-Gill, who's based out of Manila, Philippines, and is a geopolitical expert. He's been coming to our show more often than not. Don, many thanks for joining us and coming back to World Today.
Thank you so much, Geeta.
Don, beginning with the entire naval exercise and what we're looking at could be a future cooperation between Philippines and the rest of the Quad members sans India.
Right. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. It is a true pleasure. Now, first we have to take note that the contemporary international cooperation, the characteristics of contemporary international cooperation is best defined by a more flexible area-specific arrangement rather than rigid pacts. So, of course, the Indo-Pacific is perhaps the most dynamic and complex region in the world. So, therefore, the proliferation of such arrangements, such as the Quad where India is part, and now this emerging Quad where the Philippines is part, among like-minded countries would be crucial, to address the equally dynamic security issues in the vast region. Now, of course, as we can see, since 2016, there has been an upsurge in the strengthening of security partnership between the Philippines and India. So definitely, as these two arrangements continue to solidify, there could definitely be a bridge where all like-minded democratic countries would be able to, of course, engage and, of course, address both contemporary issues in the Indo-Pacific.
But Don, very specifically, now we have a strategic economic grouping or bloc such as the Quad, which includes India, and then we have other groupings coming up such as the AUKUS, now this trilateral exercise, clearly showing that there are countries who want to engage more militarily. Could India lose out because India is reluctant in moving in militarily? The other countries do not have as high stakes as India does, given that China is an immediate neighbor.
Right. And, coming off from that particular point, India is situated in the most complex, I'd say, geopolitical neighborhood. Two nuclear armed rivals on both sides seeking to nibble on its sovereignty and sovereign rights. But again, India's role in the Indo-Pacific is undeniable and irreplaceable. Okay, as a major democratic Indo-Pacific power, the fifth largest economy, a formidable military force, a large young population, and perhaps being one of the few Indo-Pacific powers that can really stand up to China's belligerence, India is an undeniable portion and component of the stability of the Indo-Pacific. And India is part of several sub-regional arrangements, such as the Quad, two other Quad-like arrangements in the Middle East, and a series of area-specific trilateral arrangements, such as the India-France-UAE arrangement, the India-Japan-Australia, and the India-France-Australia. So, the emergence of the Quad with the Philippines, for example, will be important in giving more emphasis on the South and East China Seas. So with the availability of such arrangements, among like-minded countries, India will in fact be able to leverage on these networks, and synergize efforts. Yeah.
Right. And my final question, Don, where do you see this headed for Philippines and other important countries in Southeast Asia? Are we looking at another military bloc which could involve Philippines? And which are the other Southeast Asian countries that you are monitoring right now sitting in Manila?
Right. You have to understand the nature of Southeast Asian countries is quite different. Okay. So in general, Southeast Asian countries are quite wary of engaging deeper in bloc politics. So this is why the role of India in the Quad, for example, is seen as a necessary insurance for Southeast Asian countries that it won't turn into some sort of an Asian NATO. With the Philippines in particular, of course, what needs to be understood is that this particular arrangement within and among the U.S. hub and spoke system in the Western Pacific is crucial for the Philippines' goal towards its territorial integrity, territorial defense, and maritime security. But of course, some Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, for example, are quite wary of such arrangements. However, based on the history of Southeast Asia, nothing can be impossible. Anything is possible with the help of proper diplomatic channels. And of course, this would be necessary on the part of the Philippines and the other Quad members, of course, to be able to engage more proactively with other Southeast Asian countries because, by nature, ASEAN is flexible. So the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific is proof.
That exactly is the story over here. We're looking at inclusion of Philippines. While the other countries could be a little wary of China, it certainly seems like military blocs and economic blocs are coming up to counter Chinese aggression in the region. Thank you so much, Don, for joining us here on World Today.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you.
And news from Eastern Europe, we find ourselves amidst the escalating situation in Ukraine. The breach of the Nova Kakhovka Dam, one of the largest reservoirs in the world, has stirred the waters of conflict, quite literally, between Ukraine and Russia. While the disaster's immediate impact is apparent in the flood-stricken region, it also affects the strategic dynamics of the war, with some analysts suggesting this could serve the interests of both sides.
Amid the ongoing war with Russia,
Ukraine has faced an unexpected hurdle. The collapse of the Nova Kakhovka Dam has unleashed a torrent of water, flooding surrounding towns and farmland and forcing hundreds of civilians to flee.
Everything is submerged in water. All furniture, fridge, food, all flowers. Everything is floating. I do not know what to do.
But the implication of this disaster go beyond immediate human suffering. The dam's breach has added a new layer of complexity to the Ukrainian counteroffensive against Russian invaders. The flooding has caused a halt in the use of heavy weaponry like tanks, creating favorable defensive positions for the Russian forces. The disaster has also hit the agriculture sector hard, impacting one of the world's most fertile agricultural countries, sending wheat prices soaring and further stressing global supply chains.
We've seen the reports that Russia was responsible for the explosion at the dam, which I would remind, Russian forces took over illegally last year and have been occupying since then. We're doing the best we can to assess those reports, and we are working with the Ukrainians to gather more information. But we cannot say conclusively what happened at this point.
The aftermath of the flood, however, is a double-edged sword. Some analysts believe the situation might serve the strategic interest of both Ukraine and Russia. On the one hand, Russia might have achieved its objective of halting the Ukrainian counteroffensive. On the other hand, Ukraine could use this as a distraction for launching its counteroffensive.
Четверте, увесь світ знатиме.
The whole world will know about this Russian war crime, the crime of ecocide. Such deliberate destruction by the Russian occupiers of the dam and other structures of the HPP is an environmental bomb of mass destruction.
Світові варто показати зараз.
With the situation in Ukraine evolving rapidly, the roles and strategies of the warring parties may continue to shift. Amid the military and political maneuvering, the environmental and humanitarian crisis unfolding in the wake of the dam's collapse pose a formidable challenge.
This is another devastating consequence of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And we are seeing the effects in the city of Kherson, the town of Nova Kakhovka, and 80 other towns and villages along the Dnipro River. Massive flooding, large-scale evacuations, environmental devastation.
The Nova Kakhovka Dam collapse has created an environmental crisis, a humanitarian disaster, and a strategic quagmire that further intensifies the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. As both nations continue to trade blame for this catastrophe, the real victims are the thousands of people displaced from their homes, the livelihoods disrupted, and the ecosystem devastated. As the world watches with growing concern, the fate of Ukraine hangs in the balance. The unfolding environmental and humanitarian crisis, alongside the escalating military conflict, presents a daunting challenge for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
Time for a short break. On the other side, we'll talk about the wildfires of Canada that has created a grim situation across many parts of North America.
Bangalore-based EV startup Simple Energy has launched its first e-scooter. Simple One joins an increasingly populous market which includes players like Ola, Ather, Vida, Hero Electric and Bajaj, among others. The company does not currently have any showrooms. The e-scooters have been priced at nearly 1.5 lakh rupees.
Strategy was very clear. We wanted to build a scooter which is super. And I think we have built that. It's in true sense of superior or super EV, which does range better, performance better, safety parameters better, riding statistics. Everything is mentored and checked upon. So I think our strategy was very clear on building a great product, and the consumers will take care of it. I think we have solved that piece of it. The second piece, I think we are focused on scaling our dealership, our manufacturing capacity, and I think that will resolve most of the issues going forward. I think there are two things about it. One is, of course, reducing subsidies might deter the growth, but that's very short term. I don't think that will impact much further on it. But also it will push the OEMs to become self-sustained and will build products which are more viable.
Quality today. In Delhi, 76. In Mumbai, 43. In Kolkata, 53. In Bangalore, 54. In Chennai, 37. In Hyderabad, 61.
Welcome back to World Today. Now, situation in the United States of America has spiraled after orange smoke has shrouded major cities originating from the Canada wildfires. As authorities battle to control the crisis, alert has been issued and people have been asked to remain indoors. Here's a report.
Smoke billowing from wildfires in eastern Canada have blanketed major cities in the United States. Authorities have issued alerts across New York, Detroit, New Jersey, Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia.
We recommend vulnerable New Yorkers stay inside. And all New Yorkers should limit outdoor activity to the greatest extent possible. This is not the day to train for a marathon or to do an outside event with your children. Stay inside, close windows and doors, and use air purifiers if you have them. If you're an older or have heart or breathing problems or an older adult, you should remain inside. And if you must go outdoors, wear high-quality masks such as a K95.
The Education Department said that schools will be held remotely because of smoke. People across the US and Canada are at risk of inhaling harmful air caused by smoke. Several flights in New York too have been grounded.
I feel very bad. At times I can't breathe. Yeah, it make breathing difficult. Yeah, I even scheduled for a road test for driving for my driving license today, and it was cancelled. Yeah, I feel very sad.
When I came outside yesterday, so I could barely see without these things, and I didn't have them on. And I said to my children, I'm like, is it me? Or is it really foggy out here? Because it was that bad that I thought my eyesight was something wrong with my eyes. They're like, no, it's foggy out. So it's actually better today than it was yesterday.
The White House is closely monitoring the situation and is in contact with Canadian authorities.
Our team here at the White House is in touch with the government of Canada. We have already deployed over 600 U.S. firefighters and personnel, as well as equipment like water bombers to help Canada battle the fires. We also have been in close touch with state and local leaders, including in Michigan, Illinois, and New York.
The forest fires originated in April in Canada's British Columbia and Alberta regions. The fires have displaced around 30,000 people so far. Quebec is the worst affected, battling around 160 wildfires and displacing around 10,000 people so far.
Our modeling shows that this may be an especially severe wildfire season throughout the summer. We're going to get through this together, and our government will keep being there with whatever it takes to keep people safe and provide support.
According to the Global Modeling and Assimilation Office of NASA, the smoke may travel in the days ahead. The smoke may travel from the US East Coast to the Midwest as well. Climate change is primarily responsible for wildfires in the western part of the United States. The fires risk not only human health, but also important organic substances in the forest. With Neha Kumari and Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
And here are some other stories from across the world in World at a Glance. Take a look.
Former US President Donald Trump has been indicted in the classified documents probe. It is the first time a president has faced federal charges. Trump has been indicted with 7 counts in the indictment. The former president has written on Truth Social that he has been informed about his indictment by the DOJ and that he has been summoned to appear in the court in Miami on Tuesday. The Justice Department is moving additional resources ahead of this expected appearance. 4 children and 2 adults have been injured in a knife attack in the French Alps. All the 4 children were in a critical condition from stab wounds and were transferred to hospital. The attacker has been confirmed to be an illegal asylum seeker from Syria and was taken into custody. Sweden's Supreme Court has approved the extradition of PKK supporters to Turkey. The decision clears the way for the government in Stockholm to meet Turkey's demand that it hand over several individuals it considers terrorists as prerequisite for approval of Sweden's request to become a member of the NATO military alliance. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who is on a visit to the US, has announced the first ever global summit on artificial intelligence later this year. The summit will consider the risks of AI, including frontier systems, and discuss how it can be mitigated through international coordinated action. This comes after the group of 7 countries called for action against AI during a summit meet in Japan last month. US too had held talks on AI code of conduct with the EU. Austrian emergency workers cleared an overnight train carrying 150 passengers after fire broke out in the mountainous Tyrol region. Around 33 passengers who had sustained slight injuries were taken to the nearby hospital for further evaluation. Kilauea, the youngest and the most active volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii, erupted on Wednesday after a 3-month pause, sending fountains of lava spewing skyward before cooling and spreading across its summit. Presently, the eruption is confined to Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park. Kilauea had earlier erupted in January. Prince Harry on Tuesday submitted evidence to London High Court against tabloids run by the Mirror Group newspapers for obtained information about him through illegal sources. He accused the tabloid newspaper for inciting hatred. He claimed that around 148 articles documenting events from his life were obtained by illegal means.
That's all in this edition of World Today. Stay tuned to India Today for all the latest news and updates.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 44 and minimum 28 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 31 and minimum 29 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 40 and minimum 28 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 31 and minimum 23 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 29 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 37 and minimum 25 degrees.
are watching India Today.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is addressing a Maha rally in Ramlila Maidan. Let's listen in.
हर राज्य के अंदर गया मैं पिछले दिनों पूरे देश के अंदर घूम रहा हूं, सारी पार्टियों के नेताओं से मिला। मैं आपको दिल्ली के लोगों को बताना चाहता हूं, देश के सारे लोग आपके साथ हैं। आप ये मत समझना आप अकेले हो, 140 करोड़ लोग आपके साथ हैं। वेस्ट बंगाल के लोग आपके साथ हैं, तमिलनाडु के लोग आपके साथ हैं, केरला के लोग आपके साथ हैं, महाराष्ट्र के लोग आपके साथ हैं, बिहार के लोग आपके साथ हैं, उत्तर प्रदेश के लोग आपके साथ हैं, मध्य प्रदेश के लोग आपके साथ हैं। 140 करोड़ लोग मिलके इस अध्यादेश का विरोध करेंगे, जनतंत्र को बचाएंगे दोस्तों। और मैं पूरे देश के लोगों को बोलना चाहता हूं, ये मत सोचना कि ये केवल दिल्ली वालों के साथ हुआ है। मुझे अंदर से पता चला ये मोदी जी का पहला वार है। ऐसा ही अध्यादेश, जो अध्यादेश आज दिल्ली में पारित किया गया, जिस अध्यादेश के जरिए दिल्ली वालों की ताकत खत्म कर दी गई, इस अध्यादेश के जरिए, जिस अध्यादेश के जरिए दिल्ली के अंदर आज तानाशाही लागू की जा रही है, कल यही अध्यादेश राजस्थान के लिए लाया जाएगा, कल यही अध्यादेश पंजाब के लिए लाया जाएगा, कल यही अध्यादेश मध्य प्रदेश के लिए लाया जाएगा, कल यही अध्यादेश महाराष्ट्र के लिए लाया जाएगा। इसे अभी रोकना पड़ेगा, सबको मिलकर अभी रोकना पड़ेगा दोस्तों। मोदी जी दिल्ली वालों के पीछे क्यों पड़े हैं? दिल्ली वालों के पीछे क्यों पड़े हैं मोदी जी? 2015 में दिल्ली के लोगों ने 7 एमपी की सीट मोदी जी को जिता दी, मोदी जी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाया और मोदी जी को कहा आप देश संभालो। और दिल्ली में 70 में से 3 सीट बीजेपी को दी, 3 सीट, 67 सीट आम आदमी पार्टी को दी। और दिल्ली के लोगों ने कहा केजरीवाल जी आप दिल्ली संभालो। बीजेपी को 3 सीट देने का क्या मतलब? दिल्ली के लोगों ने अपनी आंखें लाल करके मोदी जी की तरफ देखा और बोला आप देश संभालो, खबरदार दिल्ली की तरफ आंख उठा के देखी तो। बोला कि नहीं बोला? 2020 में फिर से दिल्ली के लोगों ने 7 एमपी की सीट मोदी जी को दी, बोले आप देश संभालो। आम आदमी पार्टी को 70 में से 62 सीट दी, बोले केजरीवाल जी आप दिल्ली संभालो। फिर से दिल्ली के लोगों ने आंखें लाल करके मोदी जी को कहा, आप देश संभालो, दिल्ली की तरफ आंख उठा के मत देखना। लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री जी से देश तो संभल नहीं रहा, देश का तो बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया। रोज उठते हैं और दिल्ली वालों के काम रोक देते हैं, रोज उठते हैं और दिल्ली वालों के काम। मैं स्कूल बनवाता हूं, मोदी जी कहते हैं मैं तेरे स्कूल नहीं बनने दूंगा। मैं अस्पताल बनवाता हूं, मोदी जी कहते हैं तेरे अस्पताल नहीं बनने दूंगा। मैं मोहल्ला क्लिनिक बनाता हूं, मेरे मोहल्ला क्लिनिक तोड़वा दिए मोदी जी ने। पिछले साल प्रधानमंत्री जी ने दिल्ली के अस्पतालों में दवाइयां बंद करा दी। मैं सीसीटीवी कैमरे लगवाता हूं, प्रधानमंत्री जी एलजी को कह के सीसीटीवी कैमरे नहीं लगने देते। पिछले साल मोहल्ला क्लिनिक के अंदर इन्होंने गरीबों के टेस्ट बंद करवा दिए। दोस्तों, मैंने दिल्ली के लोगों के लिए योगा क्लासेस शुरू की, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने योगा क्लासेस बंद करवा दी। प्रधानमंत्री जी से मैं कहना चाहता हूं, आप देश संभालो ना, आपसे देश तो संभल नहीं रहा। देश का बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया आपने। चारों तरफ इतनी महंगाई हो रही है, पेट्रोल 100 रुपए लीटर पहुंच गया, डीजल 90 रुपए लीटर पहुंच गया, दूध महंगा हो गया, सब्जियां महंगी हो गई, एलपीजी का सिलेंडर 1000 रुपए के ऊपर हो गया। इनको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा महंगाई कैसे, इनको चौथी पास राजा को समझ ही नहीं आ रहा कि देश कैसे संभाले। एक दिन कहते हैं 2000 का नोट आएगा, 5 साल बाद कहते हैं 2000 का नोट जाएगा। अरे इनको समझ ही नहीं है। आप लोगों ने कोई समझदार प्रधानमंत्री बनाया होता, कम से कम ये तो बता देगा 2000 का नोट आएगा कि जाएगा। चारों तरफ बेरोजगारी फैली हुई है, इनको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा बेरोजगारी कैसे दूर करें। चारों तरफ भ्रष्टाचार फैला हुआ है, इनको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा भ्रष्टाचार दूर कैसे करें। जीएसटी की वजह से व्यापारियों का बेड़ा गर्क हुआ पड़ा है, इनको समझ ही नहीं आ रहा जीएसटी को कैसे ठीक करें। पूरे देश का रेलवे में मेरी आप लोगों से गुजारिश है, एक टेस्ट करके देखना, कोई सेकंड क्लास एसी, थर्ड एसी, सेकंड क्लास की टिकट खरीद लेना, सेकंड क्लास स्लीपर की। एक बारी रेल में जाके देखो इन्होंने रेलवे का क्या हाल कर दिया, पूरी रेलवे का बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया। अच्छा खासा चलता हुआ रेलवे इन्होंने बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया इन लोगों ने। 2002 में प्रधानमंत्री जी गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री बने, 12 साल गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री रहे। पिछले 9 साल से देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं। 21 साल हो गए मोदी जी को राज करते करते, 21 साल। 2015 में मैं दिल्ली का मुख्यमंत्री बना, मेरे को 8 साल हो गए दिल्ली पे राज करते करते। आज मैं चैलेंज करता हूं और देश की जनता को अपील करता हूं, मोदी जी के 21 साल, मेरे 8 साल, दोनों के देख लो किसने ज्यादा काम किया। केजरीवाल ने ज्यादा काम करा, केजरीवाल ने 8 साल में ज्यादा काम करा कि मोदी जी ने 21 साल में ज्यादा काम करा। अरे इनसे काम तो होता नहीं है, देश के अंदर जो अच्छा काम करता है उसको रोकने की कोशिश करते हैं। ये आज दिल्ली के सारे अच्छे काम रोकना चाहते हैं। मोदी जी के पास तो फुल पावर थी 21 साल, मेरे को तो इन्होंने काम भी नहीं करने दिए, हर काम में टांग अड़ाया। फिर भी मेरे 8 साल उठा के देख लो, कितने स्कूल बनवा दिए, कितने अस्पताल बनवा दिए, लोगों का इलाज मुफ्त कर दिया, लोगों के बच्चों को पढ़ाई दे रहे हैं अच्छी, बिजली मुफ्त कर दी। मैंने बिजली मुफ्त करी, मोदी जी कह रहे हैं फ्री की रेवड़ी बांट रहा है। अरे गरीबों के हाथ में अगर 4 रेवड़ी रख दी तो कौन सा बुरा हो गया। मोदी जी आपने तो रेवड़ी नहीं, पूरा का पूरा रेवड़ा उठा के अपने दोस्त को दे दिया। पूरा का पूरा देश उठा के अपने दोस्त को दे दिया, पूरा की पूरी केंद्र सरकार उठा के अपने दोस्त को फ्री में दे दी। मैंने तो 4-4 रेवड़ी रखी थी एक एक हाथ में, गरीबों के हाथ में, आपने तो रेवड़ा ही उठा के दे दिया सारा का सारा। अब लोग प्रधानमंत्री जी से पूछने लगे हैं कि केजरीवाल ने इतने स्कूल बना दिया, आपने क्या किया? उनके पास कोई जवाब नहीं है। अभी पिछले साल मैं गुजरात का चुनाव लड़ने गया, वहां पे हर आदमी, गुजरात के हर आदमी के मुंह पे था, अरविंद जी आपने स्कूल इतने अच्छे कर दिए, आपने दिल्ली में स्कूल बच्चों की शिक्षा इतनी अच्छी कर दी। तो एक दिन प्रधानमंत्री जी ने सोचा कि मैं भी जाके स्कूल में फोटो खिंचवाऊंगा। पूरे गुजरात में ढूंढने से उनको एक स्कूल नहीं मिला जिसमें मोदी जी फोटो खिंचवा ले, एक स्कूल। 30 साल से गुजरात में बीजेपी की सरकार है, एक स्कूल नहीं मिला। इनको एक स्टूडियो के अंदर टेंट लगा के एक क्लास, फर्जी क्लास बनानी पड़ी। 10 बच्चे बुलाए, डेस्क लगाए, वहां पे मोदी जी एक बच्चे के साथ बैठे और उन्होंने फोटो खिंचवाई। अब लोग प्रधानमंत्री जी से पूछने लगे हैं कि केजरीवाल ने इतना काम कर दिया, आपका काम कहां है? तो अब मोदी जी ने तय किया मैं केजरीवाल को काम नहीं करने दूंगा। उन्होंने मनीष सिसोदिया को उठा के जेल में डाल दिया। उनको लगा मनीष सिसोदिया को जेल में डालने से शिक्षा के काम रुक जाएंगे। उन्होंने सतिंदर जैन को उठा के जेल में डाल दिया। उनको लगा सतिंदर जैन को जेल में डालने से मोहल्ला क्लिनिक बंद हो जाएंगे, अस्पताल बंद हो जाएंगे। मैं प्रधानमंत्री जी को बोलना चाहता हूं, हमारे पास एक मनीष सिसोदिया नहीं है, हमारे पास 100 मनीष सिसोदिया हैं। हमारे पास एक सतिंदर जैन नहीं है, हमारे पास 100 सतिंदर जैन है। आप एक को जेल में डालोगे, हमारा दूसरा आ जाएगा काम करने के लिए, काम नहीं रुकेगा दोस्तों। जब इनको जेल में डालने से काम नहीं चला तो अब ये ऑर्डिनेंस लेके आए हैं और ऑर्डिनेंस से ये सारा काम रोकना चाहते हैं दोस्तों। आज दिल्ली के लोग मुसीबत में हैं। दिल्ली के लोगों के ऊपर यह अध्यादेश थोपा जा रहा है। आपने पिछली बार 7 MP को वोट दिया था, कहां है वो सातों के सातों? अपने घर में दुबक के बैठे हैं। वो बीजेपी के गुलाम है, वो आपके नहीं है, आपके सगे नहीं है, वो बीजेपी के गुलाम है। आपको कल को मुसीबत आती है तो केवल आपका बेटा, आपका भाई केजरीवाल आपके साथ खड़ा है, वो कभी खड़े नहीं होंगे दोस्तों। और अंत में मैं आपको एक कहानी सुनाना चाहता हूं। चौथी पास राजा, किस किस ने सुनी है ये कहानी? इस कहानी का महात्म्य है कि इस कहानी को जितनी बार सुनोगे, जितनी बार सुनाओगे, उतनी भगवान की कृपा आपके परिवार के ऊपर बरसेगी। इस कहानी का जितना प्रचार प्रसार करोगे, उतना देश की तरक्की होगी, उतना समाज की तरक्की होगी। तो जिन लोगों ने कहानी सुनी है वो भी बड़े ध्यान से दोबारा सुनना, अच्छे से सुनना और इसका खूब प्रचार प्रसार करना। ये कहानी एक राजा की है, एक चौथी पास राजा की कहानी है, एक अहंकारी राजा की कहानी है, एक भ्रष्टाचारी राजा की कहानी है। आप लोगों ने राजा और रानी की कई कहानियां सुनी होंगी। इस कहानी में राजा तो है, रानी नहीं है। तो एक महान देश था, कई हजार साल पुराना देश। उस देश के एक गांव में एक बच्चा पैदा हुआ, बहुत गरीब घर में एक बच्चा पैदा हुआ। तो जैसे गांव के अंदर बच्चा पैदा होने पे ज्योतिषी आते हैं, ज्योतिषी आके बच्चे का भविष्य बताते हैं, ऐसे गांव का ज्योतिषी आया, उसने बच्चे की कुंडली देखी, और बच्चे की माँ को बोला कि माई, तेरा बेटा बड़ा होके बहुत बड़ा सम्राट बनेगा। माई को समझ नहीं आया, मैं इतनी गरीब, मेरा परिवार इतना गरीब, मेरा बेटा सम्राट कैसे बनेगा। खैर, बच्चा धीरे धीरे बड़ा होने लगा। गांव के सरकारी स्कूल में उसका एडमिशन करा दिया। उसका पढ़ने लिखने में मन नहीं लगता था। पढ़ते पढ़ते, क्लास करते करते चौथी में आके उसने नाम कटवा लिया। उसका पढ़ाई लिखाई में मन नहीं लगता था। बगल में, गांव के बगल में एक रेलवे स्टेशन था। घर में बहुत गरीबी थी। वो बच्चा वहां स्टेशन पे जाके चाय बेचने लगा। चाय बेच के अपना गुजारा करता था। वो भाषण बहुत अच्छा देता था, बचपन से ही बड़ा अच्छा भाषण देता था। गांव के लड़कों को इकट्ठा कर लेता और भाषण देना चालू करता। धीरे धीरे आसपास के गांव में फैल गया कि यह बच्चा भाषण बड़े अच्छे देता है। आसपास के लड़के भी इकट्ठे हो गए और जो मर्जी टॉपिक हो भाषण देना चालू कर देता था और रुकता ही नहीं था। घंटों घंटों तक भाषण देता रहता था। बच्चा बड़ा हुआ। ज्योतिषी ने कहा था, बड़ा होके बच्चा उस महान देश का सम्राट बन गया। लेकिन राजा तो अनपढ़ था, उसे तो कुछ आता नहीं था। अफसर आते, उस अनपढ़ राजा से जहां मर्जी साइन करा लेते, जहां मर्जी जो मर्जी साइन करा लेते। वो राजा अनपढ़ था, उसे लगता था मैं अगर अफसरों से पूछूंगा तो मेरी कमजोरी सबके सामने प्रकट हो जाएगी। अफसरों को लगेगा मेरे को कुछ आता नहीं है। अफसर जो मर्जी लेके आते थे वहां साइन कर देता था। वो धीरे धीरे पूरे देश के अंदर फैल गया कि राजा अनपढ़ है, राजा अनपढ़ है। राजा को बड़ा बुरा लगने लगा। तो राजा ने कहीं से एक फर्जी डिग्री का जुगाड़ कर लिया। एक फर्जी डिग्री का जुगाड़ कर लिया, एमए की डिग्री का। और राजा बोला मैं एमए हूं। पर सच्चाई तो पूरे देश को पता थी, राजा तो अनपढ़ था। धीरे धीरे राजा अहंकारी भी होता गया। अहंकारी राजा और ऊपर से अनपढ़। जो मर्जी उस राजा के पास जाता और राजा से कुछ भी पास करा के ले आता। एक बार कुछ लोग गए, राजा को बोले जी नोटबंदी कर दो। नोटबंदी करने से भ्रष्टाचार खत्म हो जाएगा, आतंकवाद खत्म हो जाएगा। राजा को कुछ समझ नहीं आया। राजा की खूब चमची मारी उन्होंने। राजा ने एक दिन शाम को टीवी पे आके 8 बजे नोटबंदी कर दी। पूरे देश का बेड़ा गर्क हो गया दोस्तों। लंबी लंबी बैंकों के सामने लाइनें लग गई। कई लोग मर गए, दुकानें बंद हो गई, रोजगार बंद हो गए, बड़ी बड़ी इंडस्ट्री बंद हो गई। पूरे देश का बेड़ा गर्क हो गया। फिर एक दिन कोई आके बोला जी 2000 का नोट ले आओ। राजा 2000 का नोट ले आया। 4 साल बाद कुछ लोग आके बोले जी 2000 का नोट बंद कर दो। राजा ने 2000 का नोट बंद कर दिया। राजा को अक्ल तो थी नहीं, बेवकूफ था, अनपढ़ था। कभी 2000 का नोट चालू करता था, कभी 2000 का नोट बंद करता था। एक बार कुछ लोग आके बोले जी ये किसानों के कानून बना दो, इस कानून से किसानों का भला होगा। राजा ने कानून बना दिए। पूरे देश के किसान सड़कों पे उतर आए। 750 किसान मर गए आंदोलन में। और 1 साल के बाद राजा को वो तीनों कानून वापस लेने पड़े। एक बार उस देश के अंदर बहुत बड़ी महामारी फैल गई। चारों तरफ महामारी फैल गई, लोग मरने लगे। किसी ने आके बोला जी थाली बजवाओ तो देश ठीक हो जाएगा। तो राजा ने पूरे देश में थाली और चम्मच बजवा दिए। महामारी तो नहीं बची, महामारी तो फैली रही। किसी ने आके कहा जी डॉक्टरों की जरूरत पड़ेगी, दवाइयों की जरूरत पड़ेगी, इंजेक्शन की जरूरत पड़ेगी, तब महामारी रुकेगी। राजा अपने दोस्तों का बड़ा ख्याल रखता था। उसके दोस्त थे। एक दोस्त ने 10,000 करोड़ रुपए चोरी कर लिए, राजा ने उसको देश से भगा दिया। दूसरे दोस्त ने 20,000 करोड़ चोरी कर लिए, राजा ने उसको भी देश से भगा दिया। पर एक दोस्त ऐसा था जिससे राजा की ज्यादा ही दोस्ती थी। कौन था? उसको उन्होंने सारे एयरपोर्ट बेच दिए, सारे जहाज बेच दिए, सारे सी पोर्ट बेच दिए, उन्होंने आसमान बेच दिया, जमीन बेच दी राजा ने, खदानें बेच दी। उस दोस्त पे राजा मेहरबान था। राजा का एक और दोस्त था। वो दोस्त इतना गंदा था कि उसने कुछ अंतर्राष्ट्रीय खिलाड़ी महिलाओं के साथ बदतमीजी करी, लेकिन राजा ने दोस्ती नहीं छोड़ी। मजाल जो उस दोस्त के ऊपर कोई आंच आ जाए, राजा उस दोस्त के साथ खड़ा रहा, लेकिन उसने खिलाड़ियों का सुना। राजा का एक और दोस्त था। उस दोस्त ने किसानों के ऊपर गाड़ी चढ़ा दी, रौंद दिया, कुचल दिया किसानों को। राजा ने अपनी दोस्ती नहीं छोड़ी। इस बात पे तो दाद देनी पड़ेगी कि राजा दोस्तबाज था, एक नंबर का दोस्तबाज था। चारों तरफ अत्याचार हो गया, चारों तरफ देश के अंदर इनके अपने लोग जो थे वो बलात्कार करने लगे, गलत काम करने लगे, हाहाकार मच गया। जो राजा के खिलाफ बोलता, राजा उसको पकड़ के जेल में डाल देता। एक दिन एक पत्रकार ने कार्टून बना दिया राजा के खिलाफ, उस पत्रकार को उठा के जेल में डाल दिया। एक दिन एक किसी पत्रकार ने उनके खिलाफ कुछ लिख दिया, उसको पकड़ के जेल में डाल दिया। जो राजा के खिलाफ बोले उसका बेड़ा गर्क। कोई जज अगर उस राजा के खिलाफ ऑर्डर करता था, राजा उसको बख्शता नहीं था। चारों तरफ अत्याचार, महंगाई, बेरोजगारी। ऊपर आसमान में देवता ये सब देख रहे थे कि पृथ्वी के ऊपर कितना घनघोर अत्याचार हो रहा है। सारे देवता इकट्ठे हुए, देवताओं ने मीटिंग करी। सारे देवता मिलकर शिवजी महाराज जी के पास गए और कहा, महाराज कुछ करो, पृथ्वी के ऊपर अन्याय हो गया, अत्याचार हो गया, चारों तरफ बलात्कार, चारों तरफ हाहाकार मचा हुआ है, जनता परेशान हो रही है। पृथ्वी जी, शिव जी महाराज जी ने अपनी तीसरी आंख खोली और दोस्तों यहां प्रचंड पृथ्वी के ऊपर अजीब अजीब घटनाएं घटने लगी। उज्जैन के अंदर महाकाल की 6 सप्तऋषियों की बड़ी बड़ी 10 फुटा भारी भारी मूर्तियां थी। एक दिन बारिश और तूफान आया और 6 की 6 मूर्तियां टूट गई। लोगों ने कहा बड़ा अपशकुन हो रहा है, बड़ा अपशकुन हो रहा है। एक दिन एक ट्रेन एक्सीडेंट हो गया, 250 से ज्यादा लोगों की मौत हो गई। लोगों ने कहा बड़ा अपशकुन हो रहा है। और एक दिन घनघोर बारिश आई, तूफान आया, ऊपर से आकाशवाणी हुई। सारे देश की जनता को भगवान ने कहा कि आप महान देश के लोग हो, क्या कर रहे हो, उठो, खड़े हो जाओ और इस अहंकारी राजा के खिलाफ सब लोग मिलकर आवाज उठाओ। भगवान आपके साथ है। और उसके बाद दोस्तों सोई हुई जनता जाग गई और 1 साल के अंदर उस अहंकारी राजा का राजपाट जनता ने उखाड़ के फेंक दिया। और उसके बाद वो महान देश दिन दूनी रात चौगुनी प्रगति करने लगा। ये कहानी बड़ी पवित्र कहानी है। इस कहानी को सुनने से और सुनाने से परिवार का, समाज का और देश का बहुत भला होता है। इसे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा शेयर कीजिए, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचाइए ताकि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसे सुन सकें, इसे समझ सकें। अंत में आपसे एक ही विनती है, अगली बार वोट डालने जाओ तो ऐसे आदमी को वोट डालना, ऐसे आदमी को प्रधानमंत्री बनाना जो कम से कम इतनी तो समझ रखता हो कि 2000 का नोट कैंसिल करना है कि चालू करना है। कपिल सिब्बल साहब एक बहुत अच्छी लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं। इनकी एक वेबसाइट है इंसाफ के सिपाही। आप लोग सब लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इस वेबसाइट पे जाके इसको लॉगिन करें, रजिस्टर करें और हम सब लोगों को मिलके अपने महान देश भारत देश के लिए काम करना है। भारत माता की।
That was the Chief Minister of the National Capital, Arvind Kejriwal, addressing a huge rally at the Ramlila Maidan in the national capital. And with that, it's wrap on this bulletin. Thank you for watching India Today. For more news and updates, you can log on to our app. You can also download the app. This is me, Aishwarya Paliwal, signing off.
You are watching India Today.
Welcome to WWDC.
It's the biggest tech news of the year and an announcement that's got everyone talking. Apple hosted its annual WWDC event on June 5th, unveiling its much-awaited Vision Pro headset. After years of speculations, Apple has finally launched its first ever AR/VR headset called the Vision Pro. This is a unique wearable device that has a bunch of cameras, speakers and sensors strapped to your face. And the weirdest, or maybe the coolest part, is that you can see right through it, just like scuba diving goggles. Unlike Facebook's Quest, Vision Pro does not come with any controller. These headsets will be operated solely by your eyes, hands and voice. You can use it to turn your living room into a theatre of your own, and with the help of the spatial audio, a mode displays that offers almost 4K resolution. The headset is powered by an M2 chip and a dedicated R1 chip.
With Vision Pro, you're no longer limited by a display. Your surroundings become an infinite canvas. Use your apps anywhere and make them any size you want.
With the digital crown on the top of the headsets, you can even switch from your physical environment to a virtual one. It houses a battery that offers up to 2 hours of playtime on a single charge. However, when plugged into power, you can use it for as long as you want. This is clearly a game-changer tech launched by Apple, and as expected will burn a big hole in your pocket. The Vision Pro headset will be launched at $3,499 in the United States of America next year. That's roughly around 2,88,000 rupees. And if you're wondering when will it be available here in India, Apple has not yet announced when, or for that matter, if at all, it will bring Vision Pro to the Indian market. So what else was launched at the WWDC event? The iOS 17 update for iPhones. The new update brings features like posters for phone application, where you can create a contact card for each person on your contact list. A new name drop feature also now allows users to swap contact information by bringing 2 iPhones together and sharing the contact cards. Apple has also introduced live voicemails that you can have a glance at in case you're busy. It will also give you an ability to send a voicemail with FaceTime.
Our next release, iOS 17, delivers more expressive communication, simplified sharing, more intelligent input, and all new experiences for your iPhone.
Why does this happen? Let me tell you the science behind it.
For more informative videos like this, keep watching India Today News Mode.
before stabbing her 20 times and smashing her head 6 times with a slab of stone. Sahil Khan plotted the cold-blooded murder and called Sakshi to the crime spot and waited to ambush her. When Sakshi arrived, Sahil went on a stabbing spree and crushed her head multiple times in full public glare as passers-by looked on. The preliminary investigation reveals a breakup drove Sahil to kill Sakshi. Sahil was furious as Sakshi went back to her earlier boyfriend Praveen. Sahil confronted Sakshi on the breakup before murdering her. After the murder, Sahil switched off his phone to dodge the police and fled to UP's Bulandshahr. He threw away the murder weapon, a knife, in Delhi's Ritala area. Sahil has now admitted to killing Sakshi during interrogation by the police.
साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे पूरा जोर है, कोशिश कर रहे हैं सारे जितने भी इसमें हम लोग को एविडेंसेस मिल पाएँ वो सब हम लोग जुगाड़ रहे हैं. फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज ऑन इट्स.
Sakshi, continuously harassed by Sahil, had confided in one of her friends and had urged him to help her.
साक्षी ने यही बोला, मैं 20 बार बता चुका हूँ कि मेरे को एक लड़का टॉर्चर कर रहा है, भाई में थोड़ी मेरी मदद करो. तो मैं तो उसकी मदद ही करने गया था. हाँ. उस लड़के को समझाने ही गया था.
कहाँ मिला था साहिल आपको?
यहीं पर ही, जहाँ पे मर्डर हुआ है.
जहाँ पे मर्डर
पहले भी वहीं मिला था.
अच्छा.
वहीं पर उसी ने बुलाया था.
While plotting Sakshi's murder, Sahil had been chatting with multiple girls. The police are probing if this was the reason for Sakshi breaking up with him.
इस कातिल को हर हाल में अगले 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए. इसके ऊपर सरकार को काम करना चाहिए, कोर्ट्स को काम करना चाहिए.
Sakshi's parents have sought capital punishment for Sahil. Will Sakshi get justice in death? With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Saraswati Vaidya was 36 years old. Akansha was 23 years old. Shraddha Walkar was 27 years old. Nikki Yadav was 25 years old. And Megha was 35 years old at the time of their respective murders. All 5 of them were killed by their live-in partners. Partners they loved and with whom they decided to take another step forward in a committed relationship. All of them were killed in a gruesome manner following arguments. These were women who were educated, who were opinionated, financially independent and strong individuals. But when love turned toxic, they didn't walk out of it. They stayed on before they were killed by the ones they chose to love and live with. Sakshi, on the other hand, was a minor and not in a live-in relationship. But she too met a gory end as Sahil couldn't accept her decision to leave him and go back to her former boyfriend. Her choice to leave a relationship took her life in the most macabre manner, an end that only a ghoul can imagine, because they love to kill.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the news. In the past 1 year, gruesome murders have made headlines. Murders always do. But these are stories that shocked even hardened crime reporters. They are murders committed by people with no crime record, yet done to perfection that even a seasoned criminal would fail to carry out. These are stories where love turned toxic and fights led to a so-called love partner to hack his counterpart to death and then remorselessly work to clean all the evidences. And the latest in the series is the shocking murder in the financial capital. 20-year-old Saraswati Vaidya was brutally murdered, dismembered, and her body parts cooked in a pressure cooker by her live-in partner. The accused is the 56-year-old Manoj Sane. Here's a report decoding this terrifying, shocking, gruesome murder.
Is this a Shraddha Walkar rerun in Mumbai? The Mumbai police on Wednesday night found chopped body parts of a woman from a flat after complaints from neighbors about the foul smell emanating. This has unraveled shocking and scary details of the murder. The man on your screen is Manoj Sane. The 56-year-old is accused of killing his live-in partner Saraswati Vaidya, who was 20 years younger than him. Police sources say Sane allegedly got into an argument with Saraswati 4 days ago. When the argument escalated, Sane allegedly murdered Saraswati, dismembered her body with a tree cutter. Then he allegedly boiled Saraswati's body parts in a cooker in order to remove the stench. The police suspect Sane, who allegedly stored the body parts in buckets, used to dispose them in drains near the house or feed them to stray dogs. When the police searched the flat on Meera Road, Sane attempted to flee but was arrested.
वहाँ पे लॉक तोड़ के उन्होंने जब एंट्री किया तो किचन में बहुत सारे यूटेंसिल और बकेट में वहाँ पे चॉप किए हुए बॉडी पार्ट्स मिले हैं। उसमें बाद में इन्वेस्टिगेशन में ऐसा रिवील हो चुका था कि एक कपल था, लिव इन रिलेशन में रह रहा था उधर, उनका आइडेंटिफिकेशन हो चुका है, अक्यूज्ड को भी अरेस्ट किया गया है।
Sane's efforts to hide the murder failed as neighbors alerted the police to the foul smell emanating from the flat.
मैं गया, नॉक किया तो फर्स्ट नॉक में कोई रिस्पांस नहीं था, तो सेकंड नॉक किया तो उन्हें रूम फ्रेशनर मारने लगे घर में, वो आवाज़ करके पूरा रूम फ्रेशनर मारने लग गए।
सेकंड नॉक में आपको वो स्प्रे का आवाज़ आया?
एक आवाज़ आया, पूरा दरवाजे पे मारा उन्हें, पूरे रूम में मारा और पूरा इमीडिएट पूरा लॉबी में पूरा स्मेल हो गया रूम फ्रेशनर का।
स्मेल
तो मैं 99% श्योर हो गया था कि कुछ गड़बड़ है। अगर कुछ रहता तो वो खोलते तो दरवाजा, हमने एक दो बार खुलवाया कुछ काम के लिए तो खोला है, तो अगर वो रिप्लाई ही नहीं कर रहे तो कुछ तो इशू है।
Police sources say Sane claimed that Saraswati died by suicide and he only disposed of the body parts. Sources allege Sane has admitted he was aware of the Shraddha Walkar murder case. The two murder cases have eerie similarities. Shraddha was killed a year ago in Delhi by her live-in partner Aftab Poonawala, who chopped her body parts and threw them away slowly in the forests nearby. Any similarities can only be speculation, but these are indications being provided by insiders in the Mumbai police.
What the cops and the neighbors highly suspect that early morning every day since past 3 to 4 days, accused Manoj might be coming over here and he was dumping the body parts in this particular drainage line, or also they suspect that he might be feeding the body parts to the stray dogs, and this is what the cops are right now investigating and trying to locate those missing body parts. With camera person Vaibhav Kangutkar, this is Saurav Vakhtania in Meera Road for India Today.
Another murder took place this week in the tech capital of Bengaluru. A software worker was murdered and then hanged by her partner in her flat.
The 23-year-old Akansha was a tech professional with a software company in Bengaluru. Her friends found her unconscious body in her flat on June 6th. The police investigation revealed that she was first strangled and then hanged by her boyfriend and live-in partner Arpit.
On the day of incident, 3 days back evening, we got a call that a lady complained to the police station that she has found a person lying in an unconscious state at her own flat. Immediately police rushed to the spot and realized that the lady was no more, and her face had turned blue. So our FSL team reached to the spot and we confirmed that it was death due to smothering.
Arpit is a techie from Delhi working in Hyderabad. The two met at work when Akanksha was posted in Hyderabad. After she was transferred to Bengaluru, Arpit would visit her every weekend and they lived together. The couple allegedly had a bitter fight, which escalated into a fatal attack on Akanksha. With her untimely death, a family has lost their beloved daughter, with terrifying questions over just what could have driven Arpit to commit such a crime.
He waited for her and killed her in the most demonic way. 16-year-old Sakshi was stabbed, smashed and crushed to death in full public glare. Police reveal breakup drove Sahil to kill Sakshi and that it was a pre-planned murder. This happened last month in the national capital of Delhi.
Before stabbing her 20 times and smashing her head 6 times with a slab of stone, Sahil Khan plotted the cold-blooded murder and called Sakshi to the crime spot and waited to ambush her. When Sakshi arrived, Sahil went on a stabbing spree and crushed her head multiple times in full public glare as passers-by looked on. The preliminary investigation reveals a breakup drove Sahil to kill Sakshi. Sahil was furious as Sakshi went back to her earlier boyfriend Praveen. Sahil confronted Sakshi on the breakup before murdering her. After the murder, Sahil switched off his phone to dodge the police and fled to UP's Bulandshahr. He threw away the murder weapon, a knife, in Delhi's Rithala area. Sahil has now admitted to killing Sakshi during interrogation by the police.
साइंटिफिक इन्वेस्टिगेशन पे पूरा जोर है, कोशिश कर रहे हैं सारे जितने भी इसमें हम लोग को एविडेंसेस मिल पाएँ वो सब हम लोग जुगाड़ रहे हैं. फर्दर इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज ऑन इट्स.
Sakshi, continuously harassed by Sahil, had confided in one of her friends and had urged him to help her.
साक्षी ने यही बोला, मैं 20 बार बता चुका हूँ कि मेरे को एक लड़का टॉर्चर कर रहा है, भाई थोड़ी मेरी मदद करो. तो मैं तो उसकी मदद ही करने गया था. हाँ. उस लड़के को समझाने ही गया था.
कहाँ मिला था साहिल आपको?
यहीं पर ही जहाँ पे मर्डर हुआ है.
जहाँ पे मर्डर
पहले भी वहीं मिला था.
अच्छा.
वहीं पर उसी ने बुलाया था.
While plotting Sakshi's murder, Sahil had been chatting with multiple girls. The police are probing if this was the reason for Sakshi breaking up with him.
इस कातिल को हर हाल में अगले 6 महीने के अंदर अंदर फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए. इसके ऊपर सरकार को काम करना चाहिए, कोर्ट्स को काम करना चाहिए.
Sakshi's parents have sought capital punishment for Sahil. Will Sakshi get justice in death? With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
In February this year, again in the National Capital Region, 25-year-old Nikki Yadav was murdered by her partner. He then roamed around with her lifeless body in his car, chopped it in pieces and then put them in a deep freezer. The day he murdered her, that very evening, he got married to another woman.
A murder that shook the nation. A 27-year-old woman allegedly killed by her live-in partner. Her body chopped up, pieces stored in a fridge for months. A Shraddha Walker-type murder is sending chills down the spine again. Police have arrested a 26-year-old man for allegedly killing his girlfriend. According to police, the accused, Sahil Gehlot, strangled Nikki Yadav with a data cable in his car on the intervening night of February 9-10 at Delhi's ISBT. Drove the body to the Najafgarh area and stuffed it into a refrigerator at a dhaba owned by a person he knew.
निक्की यादव की और साहिल की बहस हुई। निक्की यादव चाहती थी कि उनके साथ शादी करे। वो कर नहीं सकता था शादी क्योंकि उसने तो मंगनी कहीं और कर ली थी एक दिन पहले। अगले दिन उनकी शादी 10 तारीख को शाम को कहीं और तय थी। तो वो उस बात को अग्री नहीं कर रहा था और वो नाराज़ थी तो उसने उसको अपने रास्ते से हटाने के लिए इस वारदात को अंजाम दिया।
The motive behind this murder, the woman's insistence that Sahil Gehlot marry her. He did not. Instead, the man married another woman hours after killing his girlfriend. A tip led the police to the dhaba. Investigators recovered the body from the refrigerator inside.
9-10 की रात को ही अंजाम दिया गया है। गाड़ी में ही अंजाम दिया गया है। एग्जैक्टली कौन सी जगह थी, कौन सी स्पॉट थी, वो अभी हम सीसीटीवी वगैरह एनालाइज करेंगे, देखेंगे, चेक करेंगे, तब पता चलेगा।